Well, Stephanie, you asked me to talk about stress, and I have to tell you that there are two types of stress. There's good stress and bad stress. And most of us, a lot of the time these days, are under some sort of bad stress. But good stress is absolutely important for health. And there's a very simple example. One of those is bone health. If bone isn't stressed with exercise and weight bearing, it becomes weak. And so that's an example of good stress. So we actually need in our lives good stress, and we need mental stresses, we need physical stresses, and all of those can either be good or bad. Now, with the physical, or there's also, of course, there's nutritional stresses. Now, I would think 90%, maybe more, of dogs in the Western world today are under an extreme pathological nutritional stress because we feed them food for which they are not biologically adapted. They're not adapted by evolution. And this is a huge problem. And it's the problem I've sought to address over the years once I discovered what was going on, which was a long time ago for me anyway, and wrote several books about it. And so I can't stress enough, oh God, that's terrible, isn't it? The need to not stress our dogs nutritionally, except in one area. We now know that if we stress them nutritionally with little fasts, even just in every 24 hours, that they don't get breakfast, for example, we may stress them a little bit longer. Let them fast for a bit longer, that they're going to live longer and they're going to be more healthy. And there's a whole biochemical, physiological, mitochondrial, if you will, reason behind all of that. So the most important thing in a dog's life as far as nutritional stress goes, ask yourself the question when you're feeding something, is this what this dog has evolved to require? Because if this dog didn't evolve eating this way, then you are creating pathological nutritional stress. And that includes every bowl of dry food, every can of wet food, whatever it is. If it's not real food presented raw and whole, as a dog would have eaten it over evolutionary time, then you are creating pathological nutritional stress. And it's the reason we have cancer, inflammatory bowel disease, kidney failure, all the allergies, autoimmune disease. The whole list relates to pathological nutritional stress. So let's not create that in today's dogs. That's been my mission, of course. So that's just a brief introduction to the idea of nutritional stress. And of course, we can look at individual nutrients. For example, if a dog is stressed emotionally, then maybe some additional B vitamins will help, just at a good level. And you use good quality ones. And for a lot of dogs, that means using the activated form of the B vitamins. And if you're not sure what that is, look it up because it's important. And it's all to do with methyl groups and a whole host of other biochemistry, which we haven't got time to go into here. The other one is if your dog is stressed out with inflammation, absolutely make sure you've cut the carbs down because they promote inflammation in so many ways, and add in some omega-3s, krill oil, salmon oil, good stuff. Make sure it's healthy from a healthy source, usually human grade of a good source. So that's just a few little tips along the way. But look at what evolution asks our dog to eat. So you have some questions.
Yes, absolutely. Alyssa Duke wrote in and she asked us, what extras would you add to a raw-fed and pregnant dog's diet?
Aha, what a good question. I don't know whether people know this, and this is an old version. It's not the current cover, but I wrote this book some time ago. I don't know whether that's coming out the right way, Grow Your Pups with Bones, okay? And that actually answers that question. Now, the first 2/3 of pregnancy is pretty well exactly what you would feed a raw-fed dog anyway, the diet you would feed. So, but the last third, you begin to cut down. Now, this is important. You actually begin to cut down on bones, and you introduce more organ meats, because at this stage, the pups growing inside are developing their organs and all of that that's going on inside them. And if you look what a mum would eat, So that's exactly what she would do. And what's that also? It's also less volume, because if you've got lots of bones, that's a lot of volume. And also maybe cut down on the vegetable material a little bit, but not too much. And then right towards the end of pregnancy, you actually start to fast her a little bit. That helps her to give birth and also reduces the amount of fecal mass, so that the puppy isn't competing with the feces in the large bowel. But the bone thing is really important, because if you want to stop eclampsia or milk fever, don't feed bone in the last third. Why? Because it tells the dog's body, the bitch's body, the female. People don't like that word anymore. That's fair enough. It tells mum, her body, that she needs to mobilise calcium from her bones. However, that's fine, but once lactation starts, then you throw the bones in, almost ad lib the bones, because she then needs lots of bones in her diet. Excuse me, first thing in the morning croaks. It's not a smoker's cough either. Just old man's cough, just old man's voice, I think. So basically, I hope that answers the question, but the details are in here. I think a lot of people have forgotten that book exists, but that's okay. It's available off our website.
Awesome, Dr. V, thanks. Shall we do a couple more?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Pilu W wrote in and asked us, are supplements necessary?
No. Don't you like that answer? No. Look, supplements, it's kind of like horses for courses. If you're feeding a really broad-ranging, well-sourced raw food diet, no. I rarely give my dog supplements. They just receive raw whole foods, plus a product that we manufactured for years. I've got rid of that, sold, so I could concentrate on just promoting raw food. But it's still adhering strictly to my recipe. So in the morning, our dogs get usually chicken necks and wings, that sort of thing. In the afternoon, they get the patties that we had made commercially, and they're doing absolutely fine. It suits me because I never have to deal with any problems, which is, being a lazy person, that's great.
But you're doing all the right things.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, one final question here. Miriam Ashraf, she wrote in and asked us, can we incorporate things like potatoes and rice into our raw-fed cat's diet?
I love the question. But let me go back to the previous question. What
Sure.
I also meant to say was that in cases of ill health or limited food availability, often supplements become necessary. I just thought I'd better throw that in. So, and again, these are sort of things that we've detailed over the years in the books and lectures and so on. So, all right. Now, should we throw in some rice and some potato and all that into our cat's diet? Well, let's go back to the question I asked originally. Did cats evolve eating rice and potatoes and all that? And no, they did not. Cats are obligate carnivores. So, however, if you don't like your cat, you want it to suffer with inflammatory disease of some description, and you're a nasty person, then you start feeding all that stuff to your cat. Oh dear, have I been inflammatory? I said, I hope I have actually, because this stuff is not good for our cats. And the manufacturers of cat food put all that rubbish into cat food because it's cheap and they can make more money out of you. Sadly, our vets are not aware, in the vast majority of cases, that carbohydrates promote inflammation and therefore degenerative disease. So if you ask your vet about this, in the vast majority of cases, there's a growing number of vets who are becoming more enlightened. But if vets stick to their training in nutrition, which is by processed pet food companies, then they will tell you that there are no harm in those carbs. And they forget all their training in biochemistry, if they ever had it, I'm not sure. Sometimes I wonder. But anyway, to answer your question, a resounding no. Do not put those into your cat's diet.
Thanks, Dr. Billinghurst. Do you have any words of encouragement, or I guess you kind of talked about stress reduction for us in the beginning, that there's good and bad, but do you have anything else to add to the conversation? I mean, the theme of the event is stress reduction for our pets and ourselves. If you have anything human or pet related that you can add that can help us minimize the effects of the pandemic and stress in general, would you mind
Okay,
adding those?
I think for our pets, the most important thing is, and I'm not really going to address how because I'm sure there'll be other speakers who talk about this, but if the humans are not stressed, then our pets won't be stressed in an emotional sense. So do what you can to de-stress yourself, and that's, whether it's meditation or eating right again. And again, don't overeat and don't eat the comfort foods for yourself because that will cause you inflammation and therefore pain, and you'll be stressed. And if you put on weight, you're going to be stressed because you look in the mirror and feel those tight clothes. So, for many people, that means eating a ketogenic diet or practicing intermittent fasting. All of those things, because if you're not stressed with hunger, isn't that great? And you're going to lose weight, look slimmer, be healthier. So de-stress yourself, and then your pets will not pick up on that stress in you because that stresses them. That's how attached they are to you.
Fantastic.